Let's be honest here. And I want you to give me an honest answer. What was the absolute best era to be alive? The 1950s with that innocent elegance? The rebellion and colors of the 60s and 70s? Or the unmatched energy of the 80s? Nowadays, everyone says the world has evolved, but has it really? Or did we leave the best part of life behind? Drop your favorite decade in the comments below, because today, we're taking a trip down memory lane. Grab your coffee and let's dive in. Take a look at these scenes. This is Montreal, Canada, back in the 60s and 70s. Just look at the charm of those avenues, the pace of the people walking, the style of the cars. It feels like a whole different world, doesn't it? Sometimes I wonder, what did that generation feel while walking down these exact same sidewalks? They seemed calmer, more connected to the moment. Did we lose a bit of that magic on our way to modernity? Look at this nostalgic scene. Children walking hand in hand with their parents through the streets back in the 60s. No rush, just discovering the world and noticing every little detail on the storefronts and sidewalks. A time when a family stroll was the best part of the day. This scene captures the 70s perfectly. People walking peacefully down the streets, surrounded by those classic cars of the era. But what stands out the most is the feeling in the air. It felt like a world with more safety, and above all, so much more hope for the future. Look at the contrast in these images. Starting with those classic motorcycles parked on the sidewalk, which were the ultimate symbol of freedom between the 60s and 70s. Right after, we see this couple sitting at an outdoor table. Notice the way they look at each other. Nowadays, it's so rare to see someone truly listening like that, with that deep intimacy and connection, without any screens ruining the conversation. And to top it off, this elegant woman, reflecting a sense of calm that doesn't seem to exist anymore. These photos prove that the charm of that era wasn't just in the clothes or the vehicles, but in how people truly lived in the present moment. It makes you want to pull up a chair and be a part of it. There are scars that mark a city's history and the lives of its people. Painful memories that, most of the time, we wish we could just forget. In 1986, Montreal witnessed one of those moments with the tragic fire that destroyed the historic Holy Trinity Church. Seeing a place of such faith and community go up in flames was a heavy blow. The fire took the walls away, but the memory of that gray day still lives in the hearts of those who saw history turn to ashes. But the past wasn't just about nostalgia and longing. It was also filled with intensely happy moments. Looking at these photos, you can see how people used to meet on the streets, sharing genuine laughs, dressing up, and celebrating life with a contagious joy. There was a spark in their eyes and a sense of trust in one another that seemed to guide daily life. Sadly, nowadays, with cities growing so fast, we've ended up more isolated, with a bit more fear and caution about everything. Have you noticed this change in people's behavior too? If you could have a second chance to revisit the past, would you go? Leave your comment below. I would love to know more about your story. And if you love remembering those good old days, leave a like and subscribe to the Second Chance channel. It's impossible to look at those old school diners and not remember the taste of those hot dogs we used to grab. The service back then was completely different. Everyone knew each other by name, and there was real warmth in every conversation. It was a time when a simple bite to eat came with a good chat. Did you know that back in the 70s, the Montreal Metro was considered one of the most modern and beautiful in the world? Every station was designed by a different architect, filled with vibrant colors and artwork of the era. People loved riding it just to look at the new architecture. Anyone who lived through those days remembers the pride of seeing the city grow with so much style. Do you remember how our city changed its look over the decades? An interesting fact is that back in the 50s and 60s, Montreal started building its famous underground city, forever changing how we shopped during the winter. And did you know that in 1967, the entire world stopped to look at us because of Expo 67? It brought a wave of optimism that rolled right into the 70s with that futuristic architecture. Then in the 80s, the rhythm completely changed with the arrival of the jazz festival, filling the streets with music and an energy we can still feel today. Walking through these places now and remembering how it all began is a true trip down memory lane. Do you remember what traffic was like between the 70s and 80s? A scene that truly marked that era was the movement of classic cars cruising down the avenues and the strong presence of traffic officers right in the middle of the intersections, directing everything with a whistle and hand signals. The rhythm of the streets and the hustle of the workers had a unique charm that stayed engraved in our memories. Do you remember how amusement parks were the perfect spots for flirting back then? In 70s and 80s Montreal, people would go to La Ronde not just for the rides, but to check each other out and meet up with friends. Between one line and another, eyes would meet, and many romances started right there in that light summer breeze. It was a much more face-to-face way of showing interest, without any screens getting in the way of romance. It's amazing how fashion and attitude used to set the rhythm of Montreal's streets. If we look back, the 70s and 80s were an explosion of personality. Those iconic bell-bottoms, stylish denim jackets, and of course, the high-volume perms that everyone rocked with pride. But the charm of that era went way beyond clothes. Social behavior had a completely different energy. Lived in the moment, in the real world, without digital distractions, keeping face-to-face conversations, and a strong sense of community alive. Looking at these images makes us realize that the true elegance of that time was in the simple art of connecting with one another. Anyone who knows Montreal's winter understands the burden of facing months of heavy snow and thick coats. That's why the arrival of summer back in the 60s and 70s was celebrated almost like a liberation day. As soon as the temperatures rose, the city underwent a magical transformation, and the sidewalks burst with unbelievable life. It was time to put away the boots and stroll through the streets in much lighter clothes, shorts, and short skirts, soaking up every single ray of sun. Open-air markets were packed, and fresh flower stands brought color back to the city, spreading a unique scent through the air. Looking at this sequence of images takes us right back to that vibrant atmosphere, where the daily rush made way for the simple pleasure of walking outdoors and sharing a genuine smile with passers-by. Summer went by fast, but the energy it left in people's hearts lasted all year round. And speaking of that, tell me something. Back in the 60s or 70s, how old were you? Do you remember when you used to go out with your parents to stroll down these very streets? That feeling of safety, holding their hands, looking at the shop windows, and waiting to get a treat or an ice cream. For anyone who was a kid or a teenager back then, those family walks were the highlight of the week and left a nostalgic feeling that time can never erase. Looking at images like these is a true trip down memory lane through the streets of Montreal. Between the 70s and 80s, the city overflowed with attitude, and you could see it clearly in people's unmistakable style. The high-volume hair, the leather and denim jackets, and the classic bell-bottom pants that set the rhythm of the sidewalks. But beyond fashion, this sequence of photos shows us a Montreal full of life and contrasts. On a typical summer day, while many enjoyed the warmth in light clothes just strolling around, the streets were also the stage for major mobilization, with workers standing together to defend their rights right in front of iconic places, like the old Sheraton Mount Royal. It was an era of heavy physical presence, where big issues and encounters happened right there, face to face, amidst the hustle of classic cars and under the watchful eye of traffic officers. If you stop to think about it, how old were you when these scenes were taking place? Did you ever witness all this movement up close, or do you keep the memory of walking down these very same sidewalks? You know, my friend, sitting here and looking back at these old photos, diving into the past like this, it really leaves a lump in your throat. We start by looking at an image from the 50s, with that classic Montreal, the streetcars still rolling through the streets, elegant women in hats, and men in suits. Then we move into the 60s, with the music revolution, the city reaching for the sky with new skyscrapers, and that burst of global pride during Expo 67. Before we know it, we are in the 70s and 80s, amidst the traffic of classic cars, bell-bottom pants, dance clubs, and that youth full of attitude flirting in parks like La Ronde or just strolling down St. Catherine. But when the silence hits after seeing all of this, we realize something. We aren't just talking about Montreal or 4 decades of history. We are talking about our own lives, our childhood, our youth. If we were to stop right now to grab a coffee with no rush at all and look each other in the eye, I'd ask you, did your life turn out exactly how you planned it back then? If you could give destiny a different order today, would you change your path, or would you accept every single stumble and victory all over again? The truth is, we deeply miss a time that is never coming back. We carry a heavy baggage from the past. And to be completely honest with you, sometimes we don't even miss the streets or the streetcars that much. We miss someone who held our hand on those clean sidewalks of the past and whom time relentlessly took away. Or maybe we just miss who we used to be back then. Lighter, our hearts full of dreams, without so many bills to pay and without so many scars on our chests. Because look at the world today. Look at what these new generations are facing and will face down the road. We live in a society hyper-connected by screens, yet terrifyingly lonely. Young people today have thousands of virtual friends, but many don't know the feeling of butterflies in your stomach from striking up a conversation face-to-face, flirting without a care on a park bench, or spending an afternoon chatting on the sidewalk. They gained the planet in the palm of their hand, but they lost the grounding of face-to-face connection. The future arrived and ran over everything we used to know. And the big question left in the end isn't how much Montreal changed or how much the world evolved. The question I leave you with to close our chat today is, what about you? In the middle of today's crazy rush, did you manage to keep that old essence of yours alive? The one that went through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, or do you feel like you got a bit lost along the way? When you look back, are you proud of who you became?